It is August 29th, 2016, and this is Three Men in an Anime. As always, I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts, Eric Carlson and Sonic Gav. How you guys doing tonight?
I have booze because I'm going to need it for this one.
Those of anyone with a negative kind of outlook on life, you might want to schedule an appointment with your psychiatrist for tomorrow morning. Just as a warning.
I don't know what you're talking about, guys. This is a lovely love. This is a beautiful love story. It's a story for our generation, for generations. Totally upbeat, uplifting.
Yeah,
yes,
of course. Yeah,
this made me feel so good. It made me want to go see Requiem for a Dream to cheer up.
Yeah. So yeah, this week we're covering Saikano, otherwise known as She the Ultimate Weapon. This was Gav's recommendation. Thank you, Gav.
You're welcome.
Gav out-wizarded me.
So
I'm feeling inadequate now.
This is another one of those that you can blame HMV in the UK for, because this was one of my I'm bored on my lunch, let's see what they've got in the anime section. And it was like, okay, I've seen that. I know that one. Ooh, that's got a little girl on the front with mechanical wings and a machine gun for an arm. That looks awesome. Purchased.
And yeah.
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 To be fair, I would have made the exact same purchase.
And to be fair, walking into this, I know this is my pick, and I know that's, at that point we normally obviously, I would be the lead, say for example in the episode of going through this, because I've seen it before. Except with this, I haven't. I kind of got through the first disc, and not for any fault of the anime, but I just never got back to it. So I own this, but I'd actually never seen it all the way through until we watched it for this. So yeah, I went in more or less as blind as these guys.
Yeah. So Saikano is the tale of the love story between our two main characters, Shuji, who is the main male character of the story and the narrator of the series.
Main Muppet.
Yeah, his character design's a little odd. We'll get to that. And his girlfriend, Chise, who is this short, adorable bundle of moe.
Yeah.
She really is. She was moe before moe was a thing, honestly. Before moe was an objectionable thing.
Yeah, I guess.
She defined moe.
This show came out in 2002.
Yes.
It's by... The studio was Gonzo, and apparently it was licensed by Madman.
Yeah, the original manga when it came out, that was 2000. It came out, so yeah, about 2 years before it got to the TV series.
Madman's the Australian licensed people. Sorry, it aired in the US on the Anime Network, and licensed by Sentai Filmworks. I have no idea who these people are. I know the Anime Network is, but
I know who Sentai is, so they've done a few shows. They tend to overprice their shows, honestly.
It doesn't surprise me. Yeah, this is so it's a story. It's about their sort of relationship in a lot of ways. They live in a small sort of coastal town in Hokkaido. And it's, yeah. So the story begins sort of actually near the end, sort of actually what turns out is near the end of the actual story. It sort of starts out kind of in media res.
Yeah.
Except you're not, yeah. So, yeah, it starts with Shuji walking through the snow up a hill to this observatory that looks out over the city and out to the bay. A beautiful view, actually.
Yeah.
And sort of talking about, sort of how, it's been basically a year since, he and Chise first met up here, and how he's the only one who loved his girlfriend. And she's nowhere to be seen. And he finds basically her backpack with her diaries in it up there. And it sort of, that point cuts back to the beginning, right not long after that they started going out, and sort of starts talking about Chise, who's this small, cute girl, kind of clumsy, doesn't get great grades in anything except history.
Physically frail, not ill, but like she's just not on the athletic type at all.
No, not
Yeah.
even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. She's like she struggles to keep up with him, just walking up the hill. Although it is they do describe it as Hell Hill, so
It's
Yeah.
a big
She-
It's not a good
the
hill
only-
to have to walk up.
No, the only reason she walks it is because he does, and he used to be part of the track team, so
Yeah.
And we're introduced if we run into a few of the other characters in the show as this is going on, and it really starts out as your sort of typical slice of life high school drama, just about their sort of about their sort of their relationship.
Yeah, which
And
is it's clear
major-
Shuji has no idea what he's doing, but he's trying to act cool and not embarrass himself.
Yeah, for the entirety of the first episode, it's very much of a it's two people who haven't got a clue what they're doing when it comes to relationships.
But they're trying really hard.
Trying really hard. It's literally like first relationship in high school, that kind of thing. Chise. It basically turns out Chise is the sort, because of her being so small, everyone overlooks her. No one bothers. She's kind of ignored. So she's the one that's got the courage up to to admit that she likes Shuji and approach him and ask him out.
At the pressing
And
of
because
important note, she is actually she's done this because their mutual friend and because Shuji, Chise, and their mutual friend Akane, they
Thank
all
you. I was trying to remember her name.
they were all childhood
Akemi.
friends, and they all grew up together. And Akane knows that Chise likes Shuji a lot, and she basically convinces Chise to tell him, to confess and ask him out. And Shuji accepts because they're old friends, and he does like her. And
she is kind of adorable.
yeah, I mean that's the thing is no one really pays a lot of attention to her, but when anyone asks her about her, it's like, oh yeah, she's a cute kid, a cute girl. She's cute, she's likable, she just doesn't stand out.
yeah.
So she's not someone anyone dislikes because she's just, but she's not anyone.
She's like,
So
yeah,
anyway.
she's 100% harmless.
Right, exactly. And so we see some of their mutual friends, some of whom are going out, and so on. First, they're all the characters in this they're all in their last year of high school, so they're all like around about 17.
Yes.
It's and Shuji, despite being a jock, because that's what he's on the track team, and he at one point he described himself as a jock.
Yeah, he does end up quitting the track team though out of boredom more than anything else.
Yeah, he doesn't seem particularly focused though. He's going to be going to university, and he doesn't really know what he wants. Is a large part of his thing. He's sort of drifting, really. And so the episode sort of starts wrapping up, if I remember correctly. The two of them walk home. They split at a certain point. He goes back to his house. She goes over towards her house. And as she gets close to her house, we see a bunch of shadowy men sort of following behind her, which is a little weird.
Well, at this point, I think this is the point where they'd see quite a lot happens in this first episode where they actually get to the point where Shuji realizes that maybe he's not quite cut out for this whole boyfriend-girlfriend thing.
Right.
Because he doesn't understand. Chise's been pressuring him the entire time with this, like a love diary, whatever it is. He fills out what he thinks about her, and they trade it for the day,
Right.
and fill it in. And he's like, okay, I guess, fine. And the only message he puts in there is, I can't do this. Let's talk for real. Yeah, I suck at this. Let's talk for real. Where he first takes her up to the observatory, with the intention of breaking up with her.
The thing is,
it's revealed that
he's intending to sort of end break up with her, not because he doesn't like her, because he does, but because he just has
her.
He has no fucking clue what any of this is. He's socially awkward. He doesn't get people in general. I mean, but especially like what on earth being in a relationship with a girl is. He has no fucking clue.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I mean, it turns out at the same time, Chise is in the exact same boat.
Right.
She hasn't got a clue what she wanted to ask him out because she didn't think he'd say yes, but she wanted to just prove to herself that she could.
And then he did, and she's like, awesome! What do I do now?
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I'm sick of it too. I can't deal with this. It's pathetic. Why did you even say yes in the first place? And he just blurts out like he does quite often, well, you're a cute girl and you asked me out. And she's like, wait, what? And from this whole point of them breaking up, they end up going out again.
Right.
They just instantly make back up and say, okay, well, shall we do this? Shall we try this for real? Okay, well, actually, yeah, because we've actually managed to actually fall in love now. It's not just a case of
it's not just a case of
because we asked.
Yeah.
Right.
We've actually got to know each other a little bit, and okay.
Okay, we're both super awkward, but we do like each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we get to the bit where you just mentioned, where they're walking home hand in hand. They part to go to their separate homes. She's humming the song that he always sings when he's happy, and then we see shadowy fedora men chasing her down the street.
Right.
Well, not really chasing her so much as stalking her quietly.
Stalking her, sorry, yeah.
Right, and we get shortly thereafter Shuji and a bunch of his friends go to Sapporo, I believe, for a shopping trip. An important note that we didn't mention is there's lots of little subtle things in the conversations people have at school about, there's a curfew. You're not allowed to use the internet at night. There's, not much on being shown on television. There's all sorts of, because they're all bored.
Just reruns and movies.
Cell phone reception isn't good. It's tough to call outside of the town.
It's all the sort of stuff that, you don't really notice they're sort of talking about it, and it doesn't come home until the trip to Sapporo, where, they're going shopping. One of Shuji's friends is trying to find, because one of Shuji's friends is having a bit of a rocky time in his relationship with his girlfriend, and he's buying her a gift. He buys her this necklace thing. And as they're leaving the store, the ground starts shaking. They're like, oh God, it's an earthquake. This is Japan. Earthquakes happen. But no.
The second biggest surprise that happened, though, because I was really amazed that those bomber jackets were 80% off.
Yeah.
I had like 3 of those.
Right. So, this ground starts shaking, and they basically start going, okay, well, fuck. They're sort of debating what to do, and we realize it's not so much an earthquake as a bunch of jet fighters and bombers are attacking Sapporo. And this is where we find out that there's a war going on.
Yeah.
And so buildings shake, things fall over, and Shuji's friend, who's buying the gift for his girlfriend, ends up being basically crushed to death.
Yeah.
And
they're looking around for him, and this is one of those. That when I said that there was a bit of a tonal shift when it was in Madoka Magica, when we got to episode 3, and the decapitation. It's kind of the same with this. It hadn't built up the happy-go-lucky sort of thing, but it was just a high school romance sort of thing. And then, boom, boom, bombs, death, turned around. Oh my God, his body's mangled.
Yeah.
Right, and there's this weird sort of pink flash in the sky, and stuff's happening. We're like, what the fuck? What's going on? And the enemy fighters are all basically blown away. And Shuji gets separated from his friends, goes running off, and he sees something down an alleyway, and he ducks down it and sees Chise with these metallic wings and a machine gun arm.
Which, honestly, my first reaction was, holy crap, best girlfriend ever.
To which, her immediate reaction upon seeing him is her reaction to everything that happens ever is she apologizes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and her clothing is sort of, torn and it's wrecked and such. And then we start realizing that every time we see her, she's got like bandages on different parts of her body because she's quote she's clumsy and falls and bangs herself up a little bit. And we start realizing that's not exactly it. Shuji is, needless to say, concerned and kind of confused.
Yeah.
But he very clearly is. The thing is, he's concerned. He's confused and concerned, but he's sort of almost also. He's kind of disturbingly calm about it at this point.
It's a combination.
He reacts as most anime boyfriends react when they find out there's a girlfriend with superpowers, which is, okay. I was wondering when we get to that point of the meta.
I think it's a combination of concussion and shell shock at the same time.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just saw his friend get crushed. Most of the town he was just hanging out, shopping in, got leveled. There's a lot of there's a lot to unpack there.
Now, admittedly, when it comes to episode 2, when it opens up with him walking up Hell Hill back to school, and Chise running to catch up with him, he's like, "Hi." There, I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. Surely there's a conversation that needs to be had here. Shuji does have a bit of a habit of accepting things a little bit too easily. Once or twice, I noticed this a few times towards the start of the anime. Towards the end, he starts to question things a little bit more and actually realize what's going on around him. But he does accept things, I think, for the sake of the plot sometimes. But I mean, yeah, it's important to note that Chise was. They make it clear that Chise was just a normal little girl, 17-year-old girl. At the start of this show, when they got together, everything that's happening with the weapon bit is after that night.
Right, and it's really interesting. So. So this is a 13-episode show, and we could sort of try to go episode by episode, blow by blow, but I don't think that would actually.
That wouldn't help because the plot
I don't have enough
sort of.
whiskey for that.
Here's the thing: the plot sort of like once we have the cyber weapon, we start seeing just what's going on. We never actually see what's going on, but lots of hints are dropped.
Yep.
The show starts becoming an angle grinder of misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
doesn't let up.
No, it really doesn't. So, yeah, we should talk about the two other important characters in the show.
Cunty McCunt and the lieutenant.
Yeah. Well,
no, I was I mentioned Akemi. Her.
Right.
So Chise
Akemi at Sushi. Go on. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So Akemi is Chise and Shuji's childhood friend.
Yep.
And she was also on the track team with Shuji. She's a sort of tomboyish jock, and she totally does not carry a torch for Shuji at all. Nope, not at all.
No, clearly, never. No. What would give you that idea?
Other than the fact that it's obvious to everyone except Shuji, which, to be fair, that's actually fairly common in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Confess, I've been that guy.
She could be running in the Olympics and have a smaller fucking torch.
Yes. But, she is... I mean, she clearly loves Shuji, but she also is ecstatic for Chise being able to actually do this.
She's way too good of a friend, honestly.
Yeah. And Atsushi is one of their fellow classmates. He's a friend of Shuji's, and he's nuts for Akemi.
It's your typical sort of cross kind of thing. He has it for Akemi. Akemi can't see that because she's concentrating on Shuji. Shuji can't see that because he's concentrating on Chise.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that, you know, Akemi's
Chise's life sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Akemi's been you know, both Akemi and Chise have liked Shuji for a long time, and Shuji has not noticed either of them being nuts for them. He just, you know, they're my friends. I grew up with them, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, Atsushi will eventually asks, you know, Akemi out, and she turns him down initially because, you know, well, I appreciate effectively we don't see it, but the impression is basically we're eventually figure out, and both of them eventually sort of talk about it, and they mention that basically she says eventually much later in the show says, yeah, he asked me out. I told him the situation, which is, you know, that I there's somebody I like, you know, and I'm in love with Shuji, and and you know, Atsushi's like, well, but you know, she can't go out with Shuji because he's going out with Chise. And you know, Atsushi eventually said, "Well, you can go out with me until they possibly until they break up or something," you know.
Yeah, Atsushi totally becomes the fucking. I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say it, but he's basically becomes just the fucking cook. You know what I mean? He's quite happy to just be the stand-in boyfriend until Shuji's free.
Well, it's sort of that, but
even in his own words, he's like, you know, he even says later on, you know, it's okay if you don't love me, but the person you love isn't available, so you can go out with me until then. It's like, what? Dude!
Yeah, at any rate, the last character we have to talk about, though... Sorry, go ahead, Gav.
I mean... Yeah, I mean, not to get too focused on it because, you know, it's well told, but
it's well told. It's also very much in the background. The show does not beat you over the head with any of this.
No, it doesn't. It's just the desperation of that character just really kind of. I mean, without again spoilers, but he goes to war for the fucking moral feeling that he gets to go to war to protect her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At any rate. The last character we have to talk about is Miss Fumi, who was
Cunty McCuntface. God, I hate that character.
Oh, Eric doesn't like me Fumi.
Do any of us like Fumi?
Probably not.
No, she's awful. She's an awful person. So Fumi was Shuji and the other and Chise and I believe Shuji, she's a teacher of them in middle school.
She was she wasn't so much a teacher. They call her senpai, but she was the coach of the track team.
Yeah, she coached the track team in middle school.
Yeah,
she's not a huge huge bit older than Chise and Shuji.
Right.
And Akemi.
Yeah,
she's a couple of years.
Yeah, she's older. She's currently married. Her husband's a soldier, and we find out that we find out that in middle school, Shuji had a crush on her because she was a beautiful, somewhat older girl who was coaching the track team, and we also find out that she's
a goddamn fucking pedophile.
Yeah,
she has a thing for fresh meat.
I do not like this person.
It's very heavily implied that she seduced Shuji in middle school, and they had sex. And
wild creature.
And but after they got to high school, they sort of didn't see each other anymore. She was gone. She got married. She comes back into the show. She comes back into Shuji's life. Basically, he sees her riding by on a bicycle, I think, and he thinks, wow, that woman looks like, Fumi Sensei. He's thinking that himself. But, he didn't think it was her. He sort of thought about it. And he runs into her eventually, and she goes, oh my god, it really is you, Shuji. And he's like, oh god, it was her.
Yeah, he is not happy to see her. But
No.
Yeah. But he gets into one of those situations that everything could have been solved if he was just an asshole.
Right. If he was actually just straight up said, no, fuck you, I don't want anything to do with you, things would have been better for him in a lot of ways throughout the course of the story. But he doesn't, because he's at heart a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, and, he did like her, but, when
he might be clueless, but he's not, he's a really nice guy. He's just clueless and a little self-conscious about being anything other than the stoic cool guy.
Right, and again, he's not really...
Which he doesn't pull off terribly well, honestly.
No, he doesn't, and he's, he's not...
No.
He's sort of naturally somewhat antisocial also, so he's, he's sort of anyways, she ends up, he ends up going back to her house to, to talk. We find out her husband's in the army. She tries to seduce him again, and he basically says he leaves, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's sorely tempted, as any 17-year-old straight man would be, but
because this is the whole thing where it's like, she's married, and he says, I've got a girlfriend now, and she's basically says, yeah, I've got a husband.
So you want to do it? Vile.
Yeah.
So she pops up.
He's telling that that's the reason why she's so focused on him, because apparently he reminds her of her husband.
Yeah, and so she pops up a few times and tries to seduce him in various ways. She's like, I'm so lonely. Could you just lie down next to me so I just have a man next to me for a little bit, and nothing more than that. And he refuses initially. The problem is that through all of this, Chise is, has to go and, go off to because she's been pulled into the military and turned into this cyber weapons thing.
Yeah, she's been drafted into Super Mega Death Weapons Brigade, which consists of her.
An important note to this is that Japan is losing this war. Badly. And we start finding out as it goes along that, we start seeing exactly how badly. We find out eventually Tokyo's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's dropped very offhandedly, just like Shuji and Chise are sitting there, and he's like, we should run away. We should run to Tokyo. Tokyo's not there anymore. Oh.
It's like...
Yeah.
And we start seeing, Chise... Yeah, go ahead, Gav. Sorry.
I will say, being the glutton for punishment that I am, at this point, it never actually explains, the war. It never really explains anything really outside of what's going on. It's just these two, their existence within it, and what happens to them. But if you watch the OVAs that are after, it basically goes back and retells the military side of the story. So it explains a lot. I'll go into it more once we get to the final thoughts, because it does explain quite a lot, in fact. But yeah, the OVAs are worth watching just as a side note, because it does explain a lot more of what Chise is and the whole background behind it.
Right. So yeah, so we get to see the soldiers and talk to them a bunch. There's one named Take, who is turns out is Fuyumi's husband. We get to see the soldiers.
That's Tetsu.
Tetsu, sorry, you're right. Tetsu, sorry. Yeah.
That's Tetsu. Take is the student that got smushed.
Right. That's right. Yes, right. So yeah, Tetsu. We see him. We see a lot of the soldiers, how they react to Chise when she's around. She's a full-fledged commander because of what she is.
Right.
And they almost all the soldiers, at least early on, have this sort of mixture look of respect and terror when they look at her. Except for the newer guys who are all like, "Oh my God, it's Chise. She's amazing." She's like
the only people that haven't actually seen her working.
Right. She's the only thing that's only thing that's really been working for us against the people we're fighting.
Yeah, they start spreading rumors of Chise the guardian angel, just due to her, her appearance and all the rest of it.
And we eventually start seeing more and more of this, and we start realizing. I mean, first off, we do see Tetsu. Tetsu is sort of the most. He's not when we first run into him. He's not not yet fully jaded, but he's he's a veteran, and he's able to. He's one of the people who actually sort of looks at Chise and sees her as his high school student, this normal girl.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's basically one of the two characters who knows what she is and don't treat her as anything but a girl. That the other being, Shuji, except he's eventually he sort of starts finding Chise more and more scary, all on top of everything else, because she's terrifying actually.
When she's actually fairly terrifying. He does a really good job of he doesn't lie to her. It's like, yeah, I'm scared of you, but you're still you, and that's what counts.
Yeah, and he's like, no, he loves her, and he wants to be, wants her to be all right, and that's what he cares about. It's not so much, he's not just scared of her, he's scared for her.
Yes, he's more scared for her than anything else.
They do notice a lot that she's almost taking on like a second personality. Not so much, not like schizophrenia. It's not like a Gollum, Smeagol kind of thing. It's not fighting with it. But the timid, apologetic little girl isn't the what you see when you see her in the military. She's quite straightforward. She gets a little bit like that with Tetsu, but when around the officers and the other people, she's quite strict, quite straightforward, quite blunt. We see her once in full, military uniform, just giving a motivational speech to the new recruits and all sorts of stuff. Almost like completely two separate different people, and when she senses a threat and all that kind of thing. And she becomes quite cold when she's in the military side of things. It's really like a stark. It's the same person, but two separate characters that can switch on a dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a moment. Sorry, Gav. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like she turns on a persona when she's operating for all intents and purposes, and she's tries very hard to maintain that around them. The cool, unflappable professional that is not affected by all the horrible things that she's doing.
Right.
Because.
So yeah, I mean, there's a moment after we mentioned that Shuji says we should just run away, and because Chise is clearly not comfortable with this whole becoming a weapon thing. But
no, she's very unhappy with it.
Yeah, but she mentions that she wants to get stronger also. But and so instead of going to Tokyo, they just sort of get on a bike and start riding off, and we sort of start finding out that Chise can sort of tap into satellites and stuff, and somebody is clearly keeping tabs on her, and so it looks like as she leaves her town, the enemy basically dispatched some fighters to deal with her, and she proceeds to spontaneously generate anti-air missiles, and they go off and blow them up.
Yeah,
they just fall out the back of her skirt.
Yeah, they're just not her skirt, her shirt.
Yep.
Oh, so yeah, it's under a shirt. Sorry, yeah.
Because that would have been funny instead of terrifying.
Everything comes out of her back.
Yep, and it's very clear it's painful.
Yeah.
She does. She's like, oh god, no.
And it's some sort of weird TARDIS or warping tech because each of these missiles are roughly her mass.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well, again, I'll drop this from the OVAs. They describe it as weapon particles. No, weapon cells. She's the weapon, and it's because she's been infused with weapon cells, which are the techno-organic side of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was some alien tech that they found.
So essentially, she grows anti-air missiles in the blink of an eye and deploys them.
Right. But at any rate, so and eventually the army shows up in helicopters to take her so that she can go deal with the threat somewhere. So they don't successfully run away here. But as we go along, Chise starts, realizing that when she does things, she stops the enemy forces, but she often ends up actually destroying the town that she's supposed to be protecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's capable of deploying weapons like that, but one of the stereotypical that the soldiers start to recognize is a move called Chise's Fire, which is essentially a column of light that eventually just expands and annihilates everything. It just glasses whatever she's anywhere near.
Yeah.
And we eventually get to the point where she's sort of standing outside with Tetsu and a couple of the other soldiers, and she basically, she's got to the point where she said basically, just kill me, please. I can't take this anymore. And, Tetsu pulls out his rifle and aims it at her, and then she breaks down saying she doesn't want to die because she remembers that, she remembers Shuji and his love for her, and she doesn't want to lose that yet.
Mm.
And they.
It glosses over it, but take into account, she has killed millions at this point.
She's she's killed tons. One of the important things we never told exactly what she's done up to this point because. But it's very clear
when a town goes missing or a city goes missing, it's generally because of her.
Yeah. So she's not dealing well with this. She and Shuji decide to try another attack on running away. He basically asks her to meet up with him at the train station, and they'll take the train and go somewhere. And she ends up having to deploy, so she misses the meet up.
It's not like she doesn't try. Like they literally pick her up off the street.
Yeah, literally.
Like they intercept her on the way.
She is en route to meet up with him when the military shows up.
Yeah.
There is another time when she, so she and Shuji keep having these cross wires of trying to do something together and are completely unable to. They just can't keep their promises to each other to do stuff together. Which is, it's bothering Chise a bit more than it's bothering Shuji, because Shuji is... it bothers him more because it's hurting Chise.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't bother him because he doesn't see it. She's the one doing it.
Right. But that's the thing. It's like, he knows this is really bothering her, and it hurts him. And all of this is going... So, they agree eventually to meet up at the observatory, but there's been... oh, God... This is after the earthquake, if I remember correctly, in their hometown, the first one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so...
I think so.
And this is, there's an earthquake that Chise consents is coming. And, they eventually...
Yeah, she's got weirdly prescient abilities.
Yeah, she's definitely somewhat prescient about some stuff, at least stuff connected to that sort of thing. Eventually, so they go running off. Chise activates and blows up a chunk of the school in doing so.
She starts to realize that as her systems are growing, she's not quite sure what's calibrated to what yet. So she knows there's an earthquake coming, but she doesn't know if her weapon side will take that as a threat, or as mistake it for an attack, basically, and react, which it does, and, like I say, annihilates a nice chunk of the school.
But, so she goes off to go deal...
she's happy because she didn't nuke the entire fucking city.
Right. So she's got more control now. Hooray.
Yes.
So...
Quick point, this does not stop classes at this school. They are fucking hardcore.
Yeah. She goes off to deploy, and so Shuji's wandering through town after the earthquake, and he runs into Fumi. They agree that after she gets back, they'll meet up at the observatory tonight. Right. So he runs into Fumi, and she's taking a spill. She's cut her knees up, and we get another offhand comment about the fact that they don't really have any medicine in town anymore because it's all been given to the military. We all have other comments here and there about their food is very heavily rationed. You basically never get any meat. So Shuji, being a really nice guy, offers to get her home because she's hurt. And she again tries to get him to stay with her, and he reluctantly, apparently, we eventually see that he's agreed, and that she's simply lying down next to him. He's like, okay, she's having trouble falling asleep, she's scared, I'll do this, and then I'll go see Chise. And she sort of rolls over and starts trying to, sleep with him.
Vile creature.
Yeah. The really awful thing during this, and he's basically telling her, no, don't, I don't want to do this. And we eventually see that she stays up at the observatory and wondering, she's like desperate, she's like, where's Shuji? And her weapons side taps into spy satellites to find him. And she's freaking out. She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to see it. And she eventually gets a glimpse of Fuyumi's house and stuff, and she's freaking out. And and she sort of sits there and she's sort of sad, and she pulls some food. She pulls an onigiri roll out of her bag. I think onigiri. She pulls sushi out of her bag, starts eating it, and comments, "I can't taste anything." And then she sort of topples forward and unconscious. Yeah. And when she comes to,
she has a. She does have a little bit of a habit of that. That's one thing she does. She just random points she'll say, "I'm tired."
Thud.
And then just falls over. Yeah.
And just face plants.
But when she comes to, she's sort of Shuji's sitting behind her, holding her, protecting her. And he apologizes, and he basically she's upset because she knows where he's been.
And to his credit, he more or less admits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when she comes out, she actually comes out with the line, "Well, why can't you just lie to me?"
Because he tells her what he and Fumi did when he was younger.
Mm.
Mm.
And Chise is hurt by this, but Shuji's just he's refused to lie to her about what's going on. He feels she deserves the truth from him.
Yeah, and props to this guy. Like, seriously, that is something that most people don't figure out by his age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's, oh, God. But, we find out, as we go on, there's more stuff with the military. Their friend joins up, as we mentioned. He's decided to join the military because, he cares about, cares about
Akemi.
Akemi, yeah.
Akemi,
sorry, yeah. Akemi. He cares about Akemi, and he wants to do something to protect her.
Mm.
And he goes off to join the military, so he's now the rookie. We also see that due to Chise being late at one point, the scene that happens where most of the squad that we saw with Tetsu end up dying in brutal, bad ways. And
Tetsu's like the only guy that walks out of that.
He's literally the only guy who's the squad that was serving with Chise at that time. He's the only survivor.
Yeah. He's yeah. And he's busted and holding together by just completely shutting off anything that doesn't involve survival.
Right.
Yeah, Atsushi even tries to introduce himself, and he just shuts him down and says, "Nope, don't tell me your name. I don't need to know the name of any more dead people.
I don't need to know anyone's names anymore. You're all just going to end up dead. I'm going to end up dead. Doesn't matter anymore."
No, he actually, as Gav said, he says, "I don't want to know the names of any more dead people."
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, God. So he's got a horrible case of survivor's guilt. Which he's...
More than a little bit of PTSD.
Just a smidge. And also we're seeing more and more signs that, Chise is having trouble with the whole weapons system thing, the weapon cells and such. she's not adapting that well to it. She has to take medicine to keep herself from, dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needs regular maintenance, all this other stuff. It's just, and it just keeps getting more and more sort of depressing and brutal. And she, we get to the point where, and she eventually, she gets to the point where she sees Tetsu and they talk. What happens is she's sort of off, sort of wandering through this town because she's tired, and there are moments where they're on standby to like negotiate with the enemy, and she's getting to the point where she's desperate to fight because that's all she can do.
Yeah, they do imply that again, as we go later into the series, they do imply that the medicine that she's on is not so much to keep her alive, but it's a way to suppress the weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if she allows the weapon to take over and just becomes the weapon, she'll be fine. But if she wants to be able to live a civilian life at the same time and suppress the weapon, it will eventually kill her. And it's the medicine that basically does that.
Right. But so Tetsu sees something and he goes out on his own to the city and basically tells people, "Don't follow me. Don't give me your back. I don't want to be shot in the back by accident," because he just doesn't trust any of the other soldiers to be even remotely competent because they're all completely green.
Yeah.
To be fair, he's not entirely wrong.
He's entirely right. Everyone is green, and they've got middle-aged accountants and teenagers and housewives.
I think they mention a lot of them are exactly the same as Atsushi or worse. There's another girl in Atsushi's company who is there simply because everyone she knows is dead.
Yeah.
She has nothing else. Her boyfriend's dead, her family's dead, so she just joins up because she has nothing else to do.
Right. And her hometown was leveled.
It's that sort of...
Yeah.
Hometown was leveled. Because it's clear that Japan, despite having Chise losing this war, or, at the very least are on the back foot, because all they seem to do is they fight them off and then end up pulling back so Chise can do her thing. And they're just backing up and back.
Every time Chise does her thing, she takes out the enemy combatants, but she obliterates what they were fighting over. It's very much a scorched earth campaign, at least what we see of it.
Right.
It's the sort of thing where they keep giving them ground and, eventually going to back themselves over a cliff.
Right. And they also mention at one point, she mentions at some point that, she's taken out the enemy's supply lines, and, they're a lot of the stuff behind, so they're sort of, they badly outnumber and out-tech most of the rest of the Japanese, army and such, but they don't really have anywhere to go either.
Yeah.
So, and,
again, that's something I want to cover at the end, because, again, that's mentioned in the OVAs, but, yeah, to say she's cut off their supply lines is, spoilers, a bit of a fucking understatement.
Yeah. So, the fighting continues, and Tetsu sees her, and, they start talking, and they spend some time together because there's nothing going on, the enemy aren't attacking, and, Tetsu basically treats her like a normal girl for the most part,
Yeah.
And, it's very clear that there's something between the two of them.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's that inverse, Fumi always said that Shuji reminded her of her husband because there is an actual physical resemblance. And Chise even comments that Tetsu reminds her of Shuji.
Right.
Both in how they act and talk to her, and physically as well.
Yeah, they have similar Muppet faces.
They're both
similar Muppet faces.
They're both
and
tall,
similar mannerisms,
and they're both very tall. They're both tall and athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Gav's right. They have similar mannerisms, and how they treat people is very similar for the most part.
Mm.
They're both basically at heart good guys, and are generally very sort of forthright and honest with the people they talk to.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
And Tetsu is older and now broken and jaded, but you can see that he was probably, when he was younger, he was probably a lot like Shuji.
Yeah.
And so it gets to the point where they almost sleep together. It comes very
Now,
close.
I'm going to give Tetsu a pass here because he's suffering from PTSD. Chise and Shuji are broken up at this point.
Right.
And
oh yeah,
they're the only two humans, as far as they know, within 100 miles.
right. Yeah. No. This is. I totally. This. I'm not. There is a big difference between how Tetsu and Chise are reacting to each other and what Fumi is doing to try to seduce Shuji.
Yes.
Yeah. They very much make sure it's the two lonely soldiers kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is, as Eric pointed out, at this point, Chise and Shuji have basically broken up because she's basically, we should just go back to being normal classmates, and Shuji reluctantly agrees, though he can't stop thinking of her as his girlfriend. It's just like,
Yeah.
And eventually,
it's clear that he's like, okay, so now my girlfriend is my classmate. Fuck, she's not my girlfriend anymore. Should tell my girlfriend about this. Fuck.
Right. And so it's very clear that and it's also, the other big difference is Chise is it's a mutual sort of feeling of wanting to be together with Tetsu, at least. It's because Tetsu reminds her of Shuji in a lot of ways, and she needs to connect with somebody. She wants to still, and
she needs someone because she's struggling to maintain her humanity through all of this, and it was Shuji until she dumped him, and now she's got no one except for Tetsu, who's the only one that even comes remotely close to having anything resembling a connection with her.
Right, and also again, who treats her like a girl.
Yes, who treats her like another person.
Yeah. Yep. But they end up not actually doing it because
Tetsu basically realizes
Tetsu's
what's
a good
going
guy.
on.
He realizes what he's
and he's
doing.
a good guy. He actually says, she starts crying over Shuji again, and basically admitting it's down to the fact that he treats her the same way that Shuji does. And Tetsu just sits up and he goes, "You know what? Get out of here before I change my mind." He still plays the macho,
I'm not what you need. You should go get what you need.
Yeah.
Also, she mentioned that she has these moments where it's sort of, she slips into sort of the weapon persona, and she mentions that it's all right,
it starts out as a persona, but it quickly becomes clear that it's more than that.
Yeah, and she says, it's the enemy. If the enemy are going to attack soon, and everyone here is basically going to die. I mean, you're gonna die soon, Tetsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says something along the lines of, after all this, and it's like, he says something like, "I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing it anyway." She just turns to him and says, "Oh, it's not like it matter. You'll be dead the next time I see you." As just as blunt, just as off the cuff as that, and it's like, and he's like, okay.
Yep. Okay.
And,
now it's crawled up into my stomach. Thanks.
Right. Yeah. And so some more time passes, and the enemy do attack, and soldiers start dying. Tetsu is trying to go out in a blaze of glory and does remarkably well. But he eventually gets shot.
Yeah, he gets wounded pretty badly, so he decides
to staggering back to his little hidey hole he's got out in town, which he sort of set up, and he sort of sits there, sort of mentally, sort of talking to his wife, who's far away, not there. And he's talking about how this place reminds him of their home and such. And he sort of staggers in there, and he finds some enemy soldiers in there, looting the place, and screams, and they shoot him some more, and run away. And eventually, Chise does, sort of finds him there. And he's delusional and talking to her like she's Fumi. And
I'm amazed he's held on that long, given how much he got the crap shot out of him.
Yeah, tough dude. And so, she, after he dies, because he dies basically in her arms, she sort of looks at him.
I just want to say, no one has a clean, narratively good death. Everyone dies screaming in pain, and death is not romanticized in this at all.
No, not even a little bit.
The only person that dies relatively painlessly gets vaporized.
Yeah.
I will admit, though, they do a really good job. We don't get a lot of time with each of these characters, and I know, as you said, there's so much of it. There's never really any light in this. So it's like, oh, it's another death. But they do a good job of at least building the characters up what little they need. So before all this, just before we get to the death, and I think we skipped over it. He basically, they don't just hang out when they get together. He takes her on a shopping trip.
Yep.
Because the town's empty. It's been fucking abandoned. He knows there's no military presence in that area at the moment anyway. So he says, well, you're just a young girl. Let's go shopping. And there's a great scene with them where he's like trying to get into this building, pulls out his gun, and she's like, no, what are you doing? They'll hear gunshots. Don't worry about it. It's going to be one shot. It won't be any problem. Look, we're on alert. We can't do that kind of thing. You're going to attract the enemy. Well, how do you propose
that we open this?
Yeah.
He vaporizes the wall.
She goes, fine, I'll open it. Boom. And you see the next shot of them. It's a perfectly circular hole in the wall. And he's like, well, okay.
All right, then.
Yeah.
And throughout the rest of the little shopping spree montage, every time they're in a new building, there's a hole in the wall like that.
Yep. Additionally, there's a aborted attack on the Shuji and Chise's hometown, which Chise stops cold because duh. Yeah. And a fighter plane crashes in the mountains nearby. And apparently there's a survivor, so the local, quote, militia decide to go off and deal with the pilot.
Yeah, the militia that is basically anyone that could get their hands on a gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Including their classmate, who was the girlfriend of the kid who died, Take, who died in the first episode.
Yeah, that is Yukari.
Yeah, Yukari.
Yeah, she was one of the... She was...
Yeah, you know what? I was pretty hard on her initially, but thinking about it, no, she's all right. She was around for quite a while at the beginning, and then after the initial attack, used her a little bit. Oh, I say at the beginning, one episode, but after the attack, she basically went into hardcore mourning and kind of disappeared, dropped out of school, and we'd been seeing her once or twice. On the back of a motorbike of some other guy, so she'd basically just picked up somebody. Not in a bad way as such, but like it was clearly, she was giving it the whole, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm not, no, this is fine. No, I've moved on with my life, and it's clearly, flippancy to hide pain sort of situation.
Yep. Anyways,
she's not over in any way, shape, or form.
Despite that, she's still wearing the necklace that he bought her.
Yeah.
So anyways, they're going through. They go off into the hills. Later on, she comes running. We see her running back to this spot that they passed by earlier, because she runs back. She finds the necklace because she dropped it, and she was like, "Oh, thank God, I found the necklace." At which point, the enemy pilot stumbles out from behind a rock. She basically, freaks out because she realizes, this guy represents the people who killed her boyfriend. And, she pulls her gun out, aims it at him, is about to shoot. Turns out she didn't turn the safety off.
Yep.
So she fumbles it, pulls the safety off, giving the pilot time to draw his gun, and they shoot each other to death. Because,
yes.
Yeah.
Because it's that kind of show.
Yes. Oh, my God. So, yeah, God. So, they eventually have given, they've given up on school at this point, finally. Close the school down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. No, what happens next? is there's a major earthquake. This is right after Chise and Tetsu has died. At about this time, there's a big. Sorry, Gav, go.
Sorry, just to clear that as well, just to make it perfectly clear, Atsushi is also dead because he was in the town where Chise was. That town is no longer there.
He was the one that got vaporized.
Yep.
Yes.
And so Chise basically takes some mementos. She takes some mementos from Tetsu after he dies and says, she'll do this one last thing before she does something else. A major earthquake hits their hometown, and that's sort of the last straw for the school.
Yeah. They're like, all right, we're done.
Right. So they're basically Shuji is carrying his mom on his back because she's hurt. And they go to the hospital. Despite there's no medicine, there are still a couple of doctors there, and try to do something to help her. And he's carrying her, and he eventually arranges so that there'll be that a doctor will get there, get to see her. He goes wandering off. He runs into Akemi's little sister, right?
Satomi,
yeah, and she's she looks up to Shuji a lot because he's her sister's friend. Also, she's fully aware of what her sister thinks of Shuji, and she's like,
she's also a junior member of the track team as well. So
right.
Again, there's the link there as well.
Yep. So she basically. We've seen her a couple times before, and she's always been very friendly with Shuji. And she comes up to him and says, "You got to come see Akemi." And he's like, "Well, I've got." She's like, "No, you have to come now.
You have to come. Yeah."
And so he goes. She
almost breaks down telling him this.
Right. And when this is happening, all three of us are going, "Oh God."
Yeah.
We know what's happening.
Oh,
Yeah, flags are waving.
Why you want to do that to me?
So they go back to her house, and he walks into. She shows her, him into her room, into Akemi's room, and she's lying in bed, heavily bandaged, like bandage over like half her face. You can see their blood stains on the bed, and he walks in, and he's looking at it. He sees this, and Shuji is just crushed because this is one of his best friends.
Yeah.
And she basically calls him over to the bed and asks him to help her sit up, and he does, and we see that it's even worse than we thought.
Yeah.
There's blood.
She's literally.
She's stewing in her own seeping blood.
She's stuck to the sheets.
She is physically broken. And he helps her sit up, and she basically says, I've got a message from Chise. She's holding her hands up, gets him to look down at it, and closes his eyes, and she then leans in and kisses him, and confesses her actual feelings to him. And
he goes, "I can't believe you fell for that. I didn't think that would work. I saw it once in an anime."
And she sits there, and she confesses, and she talks, and how just awful she's feeling, and she feels awful that she's laying this all out to him while Chise is not there, not away, and they're still sort of together because they've at this point kind of gotten back together, sort of, not really. And she basically she says she tells him that she after after she started going out with Atsushi. Yeah.
Atsushi. Yeah.
And when she agreed to go out with him, they had sex, and she said, I really wanted my first time to be with you, and I can't even ignoring that, it can't happen now because of what I am.
Because there's nothing left.
And Shuji then basically lies her back down and says, "Show me. I want to see you." And she's like,
"Well, no. To be fair, before it makes him sound like a fucking weirdo.
No, yes.
She actually says, it can't happen. because of what's happened to me, I can't even show you anymore.
Yeah,
right.
she's like, I'm a monster. There's nothing.
Right, and so
there's nothing left to me. Yeah,
and he says, "Show."
I'm a horror show.
And he undresses her and sits there, sort of leaning over her, and just keep telling her over and over that she's beautiful.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a weird scene, but like you said, it's something he's undoubtedly doing for her benefit. But if you were to walk in on that, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
But it is weird. But
he does. Yeah,
it's also one of the least sexy scenes.
He does everything
for
the right reasons, just
unsexy scenes, because she's covered in bandages. A lot of them are soaked through.
Yeah, but it is weird, and it is also one of the most heartbreakingly sweet moments I've seen. It was.
You get why.
It was so clear that, despite the fact that he's going out with Chise and loves Chise, this is a girl whom he cares deeply about. I mean, while he might not be romantically in love with her, he loves her like a sister at a minimum.
Yeah.
This is family, and she's dying.
Yeah.
And he just is doing his best to make her last moments, make her feel loved. It's beautiful, honestly.
It's very sweet, and
I know he gathers
one of the two moments that actually burst through the angle grinder of misery to elicit actual feels past a weird kind of numb masochism.
Right. And,
there's a point to this. There's a point to this anime where you do start to get numb to the to the things going. It's like, oh, he's dead. Oh, he's dead. But there's one or two moments where it's just like they really go to kick you in the fucking gut.
But it's not even just a gut kick. The scene is it's also, as I said, it's just beautifully sweet.
Yes.
And she dies in his arms, because he's embracing her as she's dying.
Yeah, don't misunderstand what we're saying
just
here.
Like everyone does in this show, she dies messily and screaming, because the show does a really good job not romanticizing death.
Yeah.
Yeah, she dies in his arms, but unlike say Tetsu, who was basically just calling out for his wife, Akemi dies fully aware of what's about to happen to her, and he's understandably absolutely terrified. And she basically dies screaming, "I don't want to die! I don't want to die!"
Yep.
And this is the thing. Don't get us wrong when we say this is a bit it's that numbness sets in, because it's just, this isn't to say that this is a poorly written anime, because fuck, it's well written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really well written.
Well, I don't know about that. It would be well written if it were 6 episodes long.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I do want to I want to keep moving forward, though, because
I don't think I've ranted enough about Cunty McCuntface, though.
We're getting to that, Eric. We're getting to the scene, Eric. We're getting to the important bit. Because this is the bit where basically the school's basically closed down, but the students are basically trying to hold something of a party of some sort, trying to lift everybody's spirits.
Yeah, a lot of the younger kids are like, no, we want to have the Japanese Cultural Festival, because what else are we going to do?
Right. And,
Shuji makes it. Go on.
Shuji runs into Akemi's dad, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie, the series. Akemi's dad basically talks about what he wanted to do with Akemi. He bought this bottle of wine to share with her when she was old enough, so that he could talk with her about the man.
He bought it when she was born. Yeah.
So he could talk with her about the man in her life and all these things, and she's gone now. And he'd gone out to do something to try to find something to help. So she was badly hurt. But
he ran out looking for a doctor or medicine or something.
And he wasn't there when she died, but Shuji was. And he was just he is so thankful that she didn't die alone, and she died with someone she cared about.
Yeah.
That someone she cared about deeply was there with her.
And that's the one that really got to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that
comes
really,
out with
busted through my masochistic numbness of the show.
See, this is, as I've said before, okay, and I know it's going to sound weird for me to pick this anime based on the fact that, I don't often like the depressing stories, all this kind of stuff. I mean, as I've said before, it's what I do for a living. I work in a probate department of a call center, so I deal with people who are dealing with the deaths of their family.
Right.
Dealing with accounts and that kind of thing. That's what I do all day. And I've had to deal with it where parents have lost children and all this kind of stuff. And there's a line that her dad comes out with that just fucking was brilliant. It was something like, she spent her entire life on the track team. She was always running, and by God, she's beat me to the finish line.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that was.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to refill my drink.
Oh my God. So Shuji has the bottle of wine. The military's shown up to basically hole up at the school with the remnants of the military. They're not wanting to have it. They're like, no, this party thing's just not going to happen. We need the place. And Shuji basically begs them to let the students have it, just to please. He gets out. And,
He has a line where it's like, look, we're all just kids, okay? We don't care if we die. We don't care about the war. All we care about is dying before we have our stupid little party. Please.
And he gets out, bows down, kowtows to them, begging them.
Yeah.
And the soldiers relent. And so the party goes on, and Shuji goes around to various places where, his various dead friends and he had moments, goes to the swing where he and, Akemi used to play, and he pours out some wine there and is talking to her. Goes back to the classroom to pour out some more wine for, his various classmates who've died,
Well, everyone,
Atsushi.
Akemi.
It's all these people. And so, and all this, and then while he's there, of course, Fumi walks in.
Because she has to ruin everything.
Because it's this beautiful moment of him just sort of, saying goodbye to his dead friends, and she walks in.
Yeah.
And
well, she this is just after she's found the little bundle of messages.
Right, I forgot to mention that.
Chise, like, being the super nice girl that she is, grabs his dog tags and Tetsu's dog tags and papers, and delivers them to this bitch's doorstep, and then starts walking to catch up with Shuji. Because she's like, I'm going to show up as a girl, and he'll yell at me if I fly in anyway.
Right. Yeah. And so she's found this out, and she now knows her husband's dead.
Yeah.
And her first reaction is to go fucking stalk Shuji.
Yeah. So she finds Shuji, starts trying to seduce him, gets him down to the floor, is like kissing him, and we're all saying, no, don't do it. And he pushes her away, and then he pushes her down and starts like looking like he's
no. First, because he's starting to fall for it when the wine drips on his face, and he gets the image of I can't remember her name. Akemi, calling him a pervert. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Right. Yeah. And he basically pushes her away, and then he sits up, and then he pushes her down and leans in, and she's like, "That's not what I want. Be more gentle." And he then has the line of the fucking show.
Yes.
Where he says, "This is what you taught me."
And then he gets up and walks away and sits down in the corner. And it's like, yeah, fuck you!
And
he just rolls over. Yeah, he rolls over, pins her hands down, and she's like, no, not this. This isn't what I like. This is what I want.
Gentle and submissive, and
he's like, well, I'm just doing what you taught me. And the look on her face is just like, and then he gets up and walks away, and she's just like, what the fuck?
At which point she basically goes into
We're just all fucking standing applaud.
Oh, it was gorgeous. She got exactly what she fucking deserved. Oh god, she's awful.
Yes. Here's the worst thing about her, though, because the scene goes on. She gets up and then promptly berates him because she's lonely and she's sad. Why can't you just give her some comfort? You're a horrible person. I just want to.
Yeah, she says,
a meat chipper.
And then she says, you've grown up and you've learned to be cruel. It's too bad you had to grow up. And I'm sitting here going, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then she goes off and Shuji says that I never saw her again.
And we're all happy.
Yeah. At this point, Shuji comes downstairs and he runs into the guy who's been sort of the Chise's contact in the military.
Handler, for all intents and purposes.
And he ends up going. He ends up basically pressing a bunch of pills into Chise's pills into Shuji's hands, and
He keeps on saying it can't be helped. We did what we could.
it's not her fault. It's not our fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just
bullshit.
And I think he basically said, I forget exactly how he phrased it, but it's like he basically implies that she doesn't have long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Shuji runs into her, and the two of them decide, "Fuck this, we're leaving." And they go off. They go to some other coastal town, and they start living together, like as a married couple, effectively. Shuji's working on the docks, dealing with the fishing, sorting fish and such. She works at a ramen restaurant.
Yep.
And the two of them end up just fall into this into an actual happy life there in this little town. And it's the first for most of that episode, it's happy and upbeat for most of it. Except for the little moments where you see Chise's taking her pills, and you see that the pills she's got, she's slowly running out of them.
Yeah, she's running out of them.
And she knows what that's going to imply. And eventually, the old man who's her handler shows up at the restaurant.
Oh no! First he shows up just outside of town.
Right, he shows up out of town.
Bombarded with anti-air missiles.
Yeah, she notices he's near town, and she bombards the area he's in, not hitting him with anti-air missiles, basically as a warning: go the fuck away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he basically goes to a restaurant and she starts basically directly sending messages into his head while she's talking normally to him in a really cool.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great piece of tech where she's actually speaking, but kind of on a sub-frequency that only he can hear. So she's saying one thing and he's hearing something else.
He's beating something into his mastoid bone or something.
Yeah, she's not just talking to him, though. She's walking around the restaurant, having a conversation with him while talking to other people and taking orders at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And, she's basically telling him, leave me alone, go away, effectively.
Yeah.
He eventually talks to
she basically says, I'm going to kill you if you don't leave. Leave, go away. You're not welcome here.
He talks to Shuji and basically tells her, he has another conversation with Shuji and tells her that the only thing that can save her is for her to go fight.
Yeah. It's the thing that I mentioned earlier about the fact that the machine, the weapon inside her needs to fight. It needs to do its thing. Otherwise, repressing it like she's doing will just kill her.
Yeah. And then what's the next? So right. At which point
it's the next attack, yeah.
The next attack. The town's attacked. She's run out of medicine. And, basically everyone in town... Shuji's working on a bike to, repairing a bike, and eventually has one of his dock worker friends fix it for him, so that the two of them can go off and have a picnic. Of course, right after the bike's fixed, the town is basically leveled. And the bike's wrecked and his friend's dead.
Yeah. The first thing it goes boom is the bike.
Yeah.
It's like whoever was flying that bomber was like, fuck that bike in particular.
Yeah. Chise takes out the attackers, but the town's is destroyed, basically. Except for, the house that the two of them are living in.
Yeah, but the problem is because she's been repressing for so long as the weapon engaged, it kind of was a little bit more violent than normal. So it kind of, ripped her up as it was going through.
Yeah. And Shuji realizes what the pills are for, and he gets the pills that the guy gave him out, and they helps her along, but she's broken at this point, and she can't even talk.
Yeah.
And after they've used the last pill, and she's lying there, the weapon goes out of control, and it's killing her.
She goes all John Carpenter's The Thing, honestly.
Yeah, it's really disturbing.
Yeah.
And Shuji sort of dives through these tentacle things and just starts brushing them away and basically tells her, no, we can do something about this. Don't give up. and the weapon shuts down, and she's just lying there, and he carries her outside, demands her handler show up because he knows he's there somewhere, and he is.
Well, there's two scenes with that. The first time when she's just lying in bed and stops, that's fine. Then there's a second one where he's trying to get, they're trying to get things to help her out, and the pills finally actually run out, and it's going tentacly again out through her back, and it starts doing the whole thing where Chise saying one thing to him, and the
weapon's saying another. Yeah.
So he's just basically trying to hold on to her. Yeah, so he's trying to hold on to her and just saying, we'll get through this, and it's got like double subtitles that's going along, and Chise's saying, Shuji, I love you, and the weapon's saying, Shuji, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And it's weird because both things are going through at the same time, and it's a great scene where he's basically got to decide whether he needs to like worry about her or worry about himself, and ultimately he does choose her.
Yep. So he carries her.
But again, yeah, she shuts down, and he
carries her outside, and he gives her to, because she's still alive. He gives her to. He basically asks, "Can you save her? Will she live?" He's like, "Yes."
We can save her. We don't know how much of her will be left, but we can save her.
And more importantly, it's the way it's more. We don't know how much of her will be left.
Yeah.
Yeah. The exact line is, "Yeah, she'll be alive, but we're not sure in what form."
Yeah.
And he takes her away, and Shuji is sitting there, and his voiceover says, "Yeah, this was. I just committed a great sin." Because it wasn't what she wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically to save her life, I had to betray her.
Yep. And the next thing was, he basically hitchhikes back home. Oh, right. So the handler basically hands her over to the chopper guys, and he's basically saying, you told me to go home to my family. My family was in Sapporo. They're all dead. My home's gone. And he walks off to the docks, and her handler then shoots himself in the head.
Yep.
Because of course he did. Oh my god. So we're in the final stretch of the show. Shuji hitchhikes back home, reunites with his family. And eventually, he does the one thing that, Chise made him promise to do. He finds her diary, one of her diaries, and back in their house that they had in the little fishing village. And, he does the last thing she asked him to do in the diary, because she wrote the last thing. She doesn't know when he was going to read this, or if she's still going to be around when he did. And she said, just go back up to the observation point, and you'll see why. And he does in the middle of this. We cut back to the beginning of the first episode where he's walking the snow up to the observatory, and he finds her backpack, and he reads through all the diaries that she's been keeping through the entire time this has been happening. And we see Chise sitting up on the roof watching him.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there at the end. He finishes, and he just breaks down into tears. And Chise lands down and asks him who he is.
Why am I crying? This is coming out again. You read Chise's book, and this fluid started flowing out of my eyes, and now it's happening again. What's going on?
And it's
who are you?
Yeah,
It's oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gone full replicant at this point.
I mean,
the thing is, there's enough of her left in there that she's reacting. It's just buried way deep in there. Like, it's clear there's a lot left of her in there.
Yeah, her body's reacting, and Chise is reacting, but the consciousness at the moment doesn't understand why, and it's just like, why is this happening? Why are my eyes leaking? What's going on?
The weapon consciousness is now the dominant personality. And Chise is buried.
It still refers to it. Yeah, it refers to Chise in the third person now.
Right.
Yes.
And so, Shuji is sitting there talking with her as Chise, and she says, this one thought's been running through Chise's mind constantly, like the entire time, that she wanted to have kids with you, but she was too embarrassed to say it. I don't understand why. What? And this is
why is that embarrassing?
right, and she doesn't understand like the point of reproduction and all this stuff. And Shuji basically, eventually, he's trying desperately to get through to Chise inside. And there's a moment where like it's very clear, like the weapon person is like perfectly fine with like okay, fine, if you want to sleep, if
Sure,
you want to have sex, fine. I don't understand the point of it, and it's all there, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, they do say that that the weapon is just like I keep thinking Chise is getting smaller and smaller, but there's this one thought that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's something about having a baby.
Right.
And she's like, I don't see the point of that. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, apparently she said you'd be scared of that.
And Shuji's like, no, not at all.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
No, not a, clearly she's crazy.
But yeah, so it's they start undressing and they start making out a bit, and then her arm falls off, and we see all the cybernetic bits inside. It's like it's weird.
She's like, oh yeah, that happens sometimes. Not a big deal.
It's like fuck.
Yeah, you bent it the wrong way. I can fix it. She just picks it up and reattaches it.
Yeah, it's like, but what? And she mentioned something about like she wasn't sure if taking Chise's old form was the right thing to do. It's like what? But then he basically embraces her, and she can hear his heartbeat.
Yeah, she can hear his heartbeat, which is a callback to an earlier moment where his heartbeat is pretty much the only thing that calmed her down.
Right.
Yeah.
And that lets enough of Chise to the surface that she can kind of talk to him.
Right. And they talk, and eventually she sort of comes back to the fore, and they make love for what's implied to be for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last episode happens, and she basically tells him what's actually been happening, and how bad the world is now. Like there's almost nothing left.
Yeah.
It gets a little
entire
bit.
hemisphere is gone. Blasted wasteland, glass, just nothing there anymore.
It gets a little bit Evangelion.
A little bit. And she basically there's another attack that's going to be coming. There's going to be another earthquake that's going to wipe everything out.
This place is all that's left. This is the last piece of. This is all that's left here.
Right. This is literally, this town is the last bit. Like the enemy are coming, and they're fighting to survive. But they and it's just because they're all that's left of where they're from. And she's like, it would be honestly the best thing I could do for the people that are still here and alive and I care about is to make sure they die without painlessly, and I can do that. That's the last thing I can do for you. And she's like, I really wish you hadn't brought me back to the surface, because I wouldn't be feeling this horrible pain about knowing that's the only thing I could do to save you people. I could have done that without the emotional pain of that. And she said, and Shuji basically says, they talk for a while, and Shuji convinces her to try to protect them, do whatever she can.
Yeah. Shuji does a great job going. No, everybody wants to live for as long as they can. Yeah. Everyone wants to live, and if you can help, if you can try to protect us, then you should, because we clearly can't protect ourselves.
He's like, I understand that's the easy way, that's the logical way, but nobody wants to die because it's logical.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to live.
And she basically tells him, okay, if you will stay here with me and watch over me, I will try. And he agrees, and the final battle begins, and this is the most battle we see in the show, really.
Yeah. Except it's not even really a battle that we see, because it's all seen from... We never see any closer than what Shuji can see.
Right.
And there are these big spires of steel coming out of the clouds, like some sort of giant cybernetic Cthulhu.
Well, it's implied every time we see Chise, as the story goes along, every time we see her, the one thing that always changes is the wings.
Yeah.
And they get bigger and bigger and more imposing, and basically it's like it shows off basically her power. And I think it's implied that she's so powerful at this point. Those things that are coming down through the clouds are her wings.
Mm.
She's so powerful. The wings are so large. They're actually in the up in the fucking stratosphere.
Yeah, and it's destroying everything, and a gigantic we see the water on the beach rushing out, and it starts coming back in. We see a tsunami coming in, and Shuji's realizing that it's going to.
He's up on the.
I just want to say the tsunami is one of the first instances I've seen of well done CG in an anime this early from this time period.
Yeah, I'd agree with that,
because they don't try to make it look realistic or anything. They do a great job of making it as visceral and painterly as they can, but still clearly CG.
Right, and it comes in, and Shuji realizes that it's his and there's an earthquake, and he starts realizing that his parents are going to die, and he starts to run back back away, and then he stops and goes back to finally keep a promise to Chise.
Mm.
And he stands.
Yeah, he realizes that there's nothing he can do at that point anyway.
Right.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, he'd just be running into forestalling the inevitable if he ran away, and running to his death if he tried to help.
Right. Mm-hmm. So he goes back to watch, and the last thing in the battle is one of those big iron spikes comes down directly in front of him. As there's an explosion, and the town is leveled and everything just goes white.
Everything just turns white.
And we then see Shuji lying there on this white plain.
White void, honestly.
Yeah,
there's no gradient, no indication that there's a sky or a ground or anything. He's just there in this white void.
And he starts freaking out. He was wiping away on the ground and realizes it feels like there's like dust or sand. And he wipes it away, and he sees this inscription that Chise made about the two of them were there together as this sort of last little memento that they existed. And he tears up, and his tears fall, and they hit the ground, and we have another flash, and we see this little ball of light off in the black, the sky, everything goes basically black at this point. It was this little ball
because everything light. It's implied everything is ash at this point.
Right. And that's right. We see the remnants of that spike that came down, and he realizes that's sort of what's left of Chise. So he goes up to it and embraces it, and it starts crumbling, and then all that's left is this little hovering ball of light that is Chise's mind, I guess, or spirit. I think
they refer to it basically as being her soul, essentially.
And we hear Chise's voice, and when she talks, we see kanji appearing in the ball, and she says, this is all that's left of me, and I was able to save you, but this is all that's left of me. I mean, I will always be I can be a part of you. And he tears up, and again his tears fall into the ball of light that he's holding in his hands desperately. And she's apologizing for this. He said, "Don't apologize." One of the things that she apologized, he tells her, "Don't apologize, dummy." He does that again, and his tears hit that, and he then all of a sudden he sees the observatory again, and him there in his school uniform, and her in her school uniform, and it's clear that this is how he can see her in his own mind, because he cuts back to the void, and he's just sort of standing there.
Yeah.
Cuts back, and they're talking, and she basically knows he's the last person on Earth. On what's left on this, and what's left of Earth is this ash wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is dead, Dave.
Yeah. And, she'll be there with him until the end. And
That's how the show ends.
ends.
Because yay.
Yeah.
And so we conclude this love story set during the apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's
And so,
yeah.
Okay, so
yeah. And here's the thing: the show is really well written. The animation is mediocre at best, except for the tsunami scene, with great characters, except for Cunty McCuntface, because fuck her. She plays an important part in the story, and she serves a vital role. That doesn't mean I have to like her or that she exists.
Right.
There's very few episodes in this show though that, I mean, other than the bit where they get to go away and and live a life on their own for a while, there's very little light in this show. I mean, a number of times, we found ourselves going, "Oh God, it just gets worse, dude. Who wrote this? I mean, who hurt you? I mean, do you need to talk about it? The dude has issues, man.
He does not have issues. He has fucking subscriptions.
It's just unrelenting.
It's.
Yeah.
I was not kidding when I said it's an angle grinder of misery, because it's not even a sledgehammer, because the sledgehammer lets up to at least wind up for the next swing.
Yeah.
It just keeps on grinding you down.
Yeah. So,
and like I said, it gives you that one moment of light around about episode 10, 12, just before, 10, 11, 12,
Where
just
they
before
change the battery.
Right back in. Yeah.
So, final thoughts.
But,
Gav.
I mean, just before we go into that, just to give it some, this is a little bit of context as well that I gleaned from the, just to make it a little bit more depressing. A little bit of context I gleaned from the OVA, okay?
Yep.
So, Chise wasn't the first weapon.
Right.
There was a weapon before her named Mizuki, who was an out-and-out, she was a soldier who injured in battle, $6 million man kind of thing. But it was very much technological. So, the wings attached to her, they were a separate entity that clipped on. She had a bionic arm, a bionic leg, and it was all mechanical things that she had to attach. Chise was the first one they experimented with the weapon cells to make it all bioorganic. From what I can glean, and they do this apparently in the live action adaptation, because yes, there's a live action adaptation of this as well. It's insinuated that basically this war is because of the Ultimate Weapon program.
Oh, good.
It's a coalition of the rest of the world who are annihilating Japan because they have developed the ultimate weapon.
It's like, guys, didn't you learn anything from the nukes? This is a bad idea.
The rest of the world are literally fighting for their survival, and it's the bit. There's a bit in the OVAs where there's a guy. You get there's a bunch of guys speaking French. They zoom in, and some of the fighters that are being taken out are very obviously typhoons, which are mostly used in Europe. There's a bunch of guys speaking with American accents, and they even say, "Oh my God, that's the Angel of Death. She annihilated my hometown." So Chise has been all over the world destroying everything.
Oh my God.
The rest of the world are desperately attacking Japan just to survive.
Yep, and they don't.
Yeah.
And they don't, because she just annihilates everything.
So yeah. Well, as I said, final thoughts.
Yeah.
I'll go first, then Eric, then Gav, you get the last word because it was your recommendation. Okay, here's the thing. As Eric alluded to, the show just grinds on you with this. Just everything is just this beat after beat of just depression and bad things happening. And by the third episode, I was numb to most of it, honestly. And yet, I thought it was the writing was generally really good, and there's a really good love story in this. It's a really good sort of love story during the end of the world thing. My one problem with the show is it really should have been 6 episodes, a roundabout. It felt like it dragged at parts. It just was taking too long to get where it was going. And I commented at one point that the show had better pull something out of its ass by the end, or it would have failed in what it did, and it did. The last couple episodes were actually really good, are probably the best episodes of the show. But I will say this, despite the fact I think it took too long to get where it was going and all this stuff, I actually liked it. I thought it was really good, despite the fact that I have no intention of ever watching the show again. It's an interesting show, and if you think you can handle the level of just how depressing it is, it's worth watching once, I think. Also, I want to comment. Eric will probably talk a bit about the animation. I want to comment on the art style, because it's this very interesting, sort of very sketchy, very simplified art style for the most part. The characters are they have this very sort of very early sort of manga style art, and a lot of the characters don't have very well defined facial features or anything like that. They're not a lot of details in the sort of the way their body is drawn. But the interesting, like the backgrounds are fairly well drawn, and like the clothing is well drawn. It's very strange art style, which I think worked for the show, but was very odd. I also really like the musical score in the background. I didn't really like the opening theme or the closing theme, but the actual score was pretty good. But yeah, so that's sort of my take on it. Eric?
Okay, so this show is really well written with really good characters. Even Cunty McCuntface is a really good character. She is the epitome of the petty, small, selfish evil that never really comes out and is directly cruel, but it's just willfully oblivious in her destructive, how her selfishness destroys relationships around her. I hate her.
Yes.
I don't know if I made that clear, but everyone else I really enjoyed. As much as you can enjoy a show like this. The show is just all about, like, I don't use the term misery porn often, and that's all this would have been if it weren't for the Fishing Village episodes.
Right, yes.
The Fishing Village episodes really elevate this above and beyond misery porn. And the last episode. Like, Peter's right. It saves itself with the last few episodes. It could have, and I agree, it could have done with maybe with only 6 to 8 episodes, because there's a point where the story seems to only exist to make the characters miserable and to make you feel bad. Yep. And instead of making you feel bad, you sort of loop back around the other end where it starts to become sort of a masochistic thing. You start enjoying feeling this shitty. And yeah, I can't recommend the show for the same reason I can't recommend such brilliant movies like Requiem for a Dream or Grave of Fireflies, because it's it's really good and it's great, and I never want to see it again. Because it's just gonna really just don't have any rope around after seeing this.
Oh God. And Gav?
Yeah, this is one of those, you've got to be in a certain mindset. It is a well told story, but it is I won't say a chore to go through, because it's not.
It's definitely not a chore. Sorry.
it's difficult, depending on how easily affected you are by this sort of this mindset sort of thing. The characters, even the side characters, they're not just one-note characters. They are real people. They're characters in and of their own right. Even the ones we only see for a couple of moments, what was her name? Sorry. Forgotten her name now. The girlfriend of Take. Yukari.
Oh, right,
Yukari.
right.
So we only really see her in one episode. We get even for well, maybe 2 episodes worth, and pops up every now and again. And from that little bit, we get a full character out of her. We kind of get the sort of person she is. She's happy in a relationship.
Gav, you're cutting out.
As much as they were fighting at the end, oh sorry,
You cut out a bit there.
And as much as they were fighting, when he dies, it affects her, and she closes in on herself. She starts dating random people to try and hide the pain, and we see that up until her own death, where she goes out just for that bit of vengeance. And we've barely seen her, and it's still a fully fleshed out character.
Mm.
And the character writing in this is fantastic. There's not a single wasted character, I don't feel. I mean, even the ones that just pop up for one little bit, like Akemi's dad.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah.
He gets half a dozen lines, but you automatically know what kind of man he is. Like I said, as a character piece, it's fantastic. I didn't realize just how grim it was going to get, and I use the term grim being a 40k fan. And again, don't expect a happy ending. It literally gets to the last man alive on Earth situation. Chise has wiped out the entire human race. But yeah, it's still I've got to echo these guys. It's a great story. I don't want to see it again.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was curious enough to follow up with the OVAs. They're worth it because they do explain a little bit more, and it gives a little bit of, it fleshes things out a little bit more, especially if it's to more the nature of what was happening to Chise and the other side of it, the military side of it. Don't need to, but I would recommend watching them. I might even give it a go with the. I might even give the live action one a go just to see what they do with it, because like Peter said, this was padded out for a 13 episode show. Condensing all this down into an hour and a half, 2 hour movie might work. So I'm curious. I might give that a go later on. But yeah, I would recommend it only as a once.
Right. So that's Saikano. Next show we're going to be doing is going to be my recommendation. And I thought we needed an antidote. So we're doing the Slayers.
Yes.
Damn straight.
Because, dear God, I need to laugh.
Gav, you out-miseried me. You win. You're the king of misery.
Oh, God. Now I want to listen to the Police.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's one thing I did forget. Not to go back and I want to just echo Peter as well, what he said. I knew I forgot something. The soundtrack, the actual soundtrack to this, other than the opening ending, like you say, there's one theme they play. There's one that's very J-pop, which is the happy song they always play. But there's one like 80s, almost Gary Moore style guitar riff they play during any of the intensely emotional bits, and that is a fantastic piece of music.
Right. Anywho, next time will be the Slayers. Thank God. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found this interesting. And we'll see you next time. So until next time, this is Peter. Say goodnight, Eric.
Good night, Eric.
And say goodbye, Gav.
Goodbye, guys.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.